to Ecom Mind Maps, the channel where I share everything on the back end of our agency, where we're running ads and creator output for 97 brands in the D2C and Shopify slash meta ad space. Today, I'm going to skip through all the BS talk about what we've done for other brands, and I'm going to get right into the meat of what we're talking about today. And there's a big misconception with TikTok Shop and meta ads that I would like to framework and get completely out in a digest for you guys so that you can understand basically how to run better TikTok Shop ads if your CPMs or your cost of acquisition is too high on TikTok or on Meta. This is going to help you out, and I'm going to break down two basic mind maps that have to do with our backend SOPs, which basically are protocols that we follow whenever we're seeing basically a TikTok shop that needs to get launched that's seeing too high cost per thousand views or cost per impression, or too high cost per acquisition of a sale or a purchase on your shop. And today we're going to be discussing the meta ads side of it, and the next video will be about TikTok Shop. The reason why we're going to be talking about meta ads specifically today is because I believe that meta, from now, at least until the next few years, will be the main driving engine in building a proper D2C funnel that gets you upwards of 500 to 700,000 up into $1 million a month in sales. And we've seen this with multiple brands that we've worked with in the past. Now, the most important thing before we dive into it is you need to have these four pillars mapped out in this chronological order before you scale. So we're going to go over a couple of the other brands, for example, like Comfort, which is a huge brand, very popular amongst the Gen Zs running ads today. And I'm going to use that as an example for you guys to look at. And so every single brand needs to have at least all of these four pillars here. You have to have an organic social media content funnel. And this is usually top of funnel awareness. Basically, messaging, this product is cool, this product benefits my ICP. And then everything else is influencers speaking to that ICP, which is what's creating the sales. So your organic social media, think about it as vibes, and then think about paid promotions and influencers as the content that's organic that also drives sales, but is not yet attached to paid ads. And the segmented part of those UGC and influencers becomes what you run in paid ads, and that becomes the 100 pieces of content or more that you're doing per month. Everything after that is emails and newsletters, LTV retention, build up after that. And basically what this means is first you want to get the traffic, and then you want to get people who can speak to the audience that you're building organically. And from there, you want to have the right advertisement material so that you can spend money on paid ads without losing money. Now that that is covered, let's talk about meta ads and the type of campaigns. Now, this is going to replace all the need for you to look at the ads manager and go step by step. This is not that type of video. It's a bit more of one or two steps above this level where I'm teaching you in the back end, like, hey, go click on this, check out this campaign. This is going to be a high level review of basically our standard option, either a launch or spending way too much on a purchase. Now, first things first, your foundation is what we're going to want to focus on when running ads. Doesn't matter whether it's Meta or TikTok. Now, obvious things that should come into your mind is, who am I speaking to? What's the age, pain points, and desires of the customer that's going to purchase my product? After that, you're going to focus basically on one main hero product, one main SKU that's going to take over the majority of your sales and your ad spend for the first 6 to 12 months. And that's going to be the amount of time that you're going to set for scaling to about $200,000 to $500,000 a month in sales. Now, the only things that you need to be worried about, though, aren't as much the clear benefits that Irresistible offer, though they are important, but you're going to need to focus on these things: Metapixel, Conversion API, GA4 integration, and some type of UTM structure where you can pull your stuff, your data into a specific dashboard so that you can keep track of all your campaigns. And this is what that looks like. So I use gambitvision.com, which is a software that we've been putting together for a while, specifically for reporting and segmenting campaigns. You drop your CSV in there from the campaigns that you've been running in the past, and basically you're going to go ahead and figure out what campaigns are working or not working. For example, we're going to go in here and we're going to upload one of the CSVs from the campaigns that we're running for a brand. We're spending 128k euros. This is our CPA. It's a decent percentage. This is how many purchases we have. And this is the ad set and campaign view. And we're basically looking at what's profitable and not profitable. And the yellow is semi-profitable to unprofitable. And the green is definitely profitable and scalable. That is the type of view you want to have when scaling your campaigns. Once you have tracking down, it makes everything else much easier. Now let's get back to the mind map. So now that we're into the mind map, the most important thing is your creative engine. If you don't have an ability to pull that lever and produce more sales via static or video or a combination of the two, you're not going to be able to get the velocity and ROAS that you want. The return on ad spend is specifically focused on for a lot of people who are specializing in the ad space, especially for D2C brands. But I don't think that ROAS is the most important thing. I think keeping your CPMs really low is probably one of the most important things. And secondly, focusing on CTR and focusing on tracking the amount of output to the amount of sales you're getting is going to be the most important. So these are the things that you need to use when you're launching ads. Initially, you're going to run 70% UGC ads. And the reason why you're going to do that is because you need to garner new traffic. You don't have a lot of traffic. So you use UGC, you leverage that to buy traffic, and you're going to figure out how much am I going to pay for this traffic, and then how much am I going to pay in traffic to get sales. And so the things and types of content you're going to include are UGC reviews, problem solution videos, demo, lifestyle, before and after, all the way up until storytelling and lifestyle type of videos. But this should be the ratio that you're running. You're going to have 70% UGC, and then you're going to have about 20% edited performance, basically segmented from your UGC. And then 10% of that's going to be statics, and then everything else from your segmented UGC. That being said, there are multiple ways to scale a campaign or scale a type of offer. But the most important thing that you should note is you want to make sure that the offers that you're scaling and the ads that you're scaling are actually producing results. So I'm saying 70% UGC now, but if we find out that statics down the line are doing much better, or we receive better profit margin on statics versus UGC, which is very common, then we're going to move to that. That being said, your offer funnel for your brand, for example, if we're talking about Comfort, where their brand is just a hoodie just like this, or any like comfortable wear, lounge wear, then this is your main offer, the hoodie and possibly this pullover thing, which is why a lot of their campaigns right now, when you look them up, are focused around the pullover sleep hoodie. Going back to it, you have the hook ad, which is basically you coming closer to the camera, or you saying something, or it can be something as simple as making a motion towards the camera, right? Which is why all those videos we just saw, very close, pulling over the top of the hood, and that's your hook. That's top of funnel stuff. Your value add builds interest. So this is where you're pulling over the hood in a hook to get attention, but then you're talking about what this entirety of your video is about. And it could just be about getting better sleep quality on the plane, right? So this is the offer structure and funnel that I use for ads. And I make sure that there's at least 10 different videos of every one of these top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel content when scaling up the ads. The major thing that you're going to want to look into is, how do you get somebody to purchase more than once or more than one product at a time? So integrate some type of way where you're not just selling one product, but you're selling a product and a subscription, or you're selling a product and an upsell that's going to complement the specific product that you're selling. It can be info, it can be another product, it can be a complementary item, but use that to increase your order value, because when you're running ads, sometimes you overspend on cost per acquisition, which is what we're talking about right now. And increasing your order volume, one of those tricks that you can use to then scale up without worrying about the fees of ads being too high. This is the flow that you're going to use when you are seeing consistent sales, but you're not really sure what best practice is. Best practice usually is dumbed down to you test with either a CBO broad campaign or an ABO low budget campaign where you're just seeing what ads are actually working. And an ABO testing campaign usually works when you're biting off of other people's ads. So you're looking at, for example, comfort, and you're like, oh, wow, these are cool videos. I want to steal from this and I want to get some inspiration from them. And then you're going to go over and you're going to test it, measure it, kill the losers, duplicate the winners, and iterate. That's your typical funnel. Now, the structure that you're going to want to have after that testing phase is a CBO scaling campaign. And what that usually is you have 4 ad sets, one major campaign that's scaling CBO of all of the tested ABO and segmented winners that you had when you were testing a smaller budget. I would only test a $50 to $100 a day budget for the first week. After that, expect about $100 to $200 a day in spend before you start segmenting. If you get to a $200 per day limit and you're not seeing on daily spend and you're not seeing higher return on ad spend, there's something wrong with your content structure and your offer, and potentially something wrong with your headline and your hook. And so as long as you keep that in mind, the overarching next steps are focusing on your audience strategy, your budget. Always scale incrementally by at least double, right? And by doing this, you have the ability to compound on your campaigns. If you don't feel comfortable, a good enough return. And going back to everything that we talked about, having the right amount of content to test equals your ability to spend more money. That being said, you don't want to do any of this if you're not ready to invest some money down on seeing whether your content is scalable or not scalable. I want you to keep this in mind, and I'm going to leave it here for the majority of this video, just breaking down how to get into launching and scaling your ads. Recapping this, when you're launching ads on Meta, about a week of setup, pixel, offer, landing page, making sure that your content creation is there. You have 20 to 30 pieces of ads, and then you're going to test it on an ABO or CBO broad campaign. But in this case, we're going to do ABO, $50 a day to $100 a day. And you're just slowly testing 10 or so creatives at a time. And you're adding every single day to those campaigns and analyzing using Gambit Vision or Triple Whale or something like that. And then the third week, you're going to scale the winners on a CBO campaign. It's going to be 4 or 5 different ad sets with different audiences and interests, and you're going to have a scaling campaign, just CBO only. That's usually going to be $200 to $400 a day. That's your scaling. After that, you're going to do optimize and scale. Basically, everything that was doing good with your creative batch early on that scaled in your CBO campaign will then become a targeted ABO advertising laser focused campaign on only focusing on winning type of creatives. And that's when you can test hooks, angles, creatives from multiple types of creators. And that's what's going to look like you expanding your UGC and finding tons of different types of creatives to scale your brand, not just this one angle, but potentially multiple different SKUs and multiple types of content that work, right? One's talking, one's here, one's has the hook, like I said, pulling in on in airplane mode. One's in an airplane. One is literally just talking about the sizing or returning comments. And you have all of these other variations as well. And this is just an example, right? Like this is what it looks like to fully scale your content operation with stuff that you know that are winning, but you don't get here overnight, right? And so going back into it, your foundation should really start here at step 1. And then once you have the UGC, you're ready to go. Going back into it, your TikTok shop creator system and your creator culture funnel is going to be the most important thing that you can use to scale up your creative engine. Initially, you want to have at least 20 to 30 creators that you can use to scale up your ads before you start pouring more than $1,000 a day on ads. And that's usually when you're seeing more than 200 to 300K in monthly revenue. I hope that helps. Next time, we're going to talk about our scaling campaign strategies. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our TikTok growth framework and how we campaigns in order to segment and scale multiple D2C brands. And we might just talk more about the content in our next video. All right. Thanks, guys. Peace.